And as a result, why the Saints have to counteract that with big play opportunities when they have the opportunity to make big plays. And it's going to be interesting to see how patient Abel will be to take advantage of that situation. All right, the Saints defense has been the talk of the league. The defense has not allowed a touchdown, in fact, in the last 8 quarters of play. And what problems will that pose for the Falcons, Hank? Well, the Falcons, I think, will come out of the shoot trying to run the football. They like to run for attitude, but I think they're going to have to throw the ball to win. One thing that I think we'll see them do as the game progresses, they're going to have to use their red gun offense, which means they have 4 wide receivers and 1 back. And if they use the 1 back to good advantage, why, they'll have success here this afternoon.
Well, they certainly were anxious to try to make it 5-0, weren't they? They got things underway, a touchback as Sanders elects not to run it out of the end zone. So Chris Miller will quarterback Atlanta. Falcons, of course, won the toss, and here's the offensive line for them. 3 of the players on that line have gone to the Pro Bowl. And Jamie Dukes is having another big season at center. Eric Pegram will start at running back along with Tracy Johnson, Rison, and Haynes, the wide receivers. They will not start with the red gun formation. That's their variation of the shotgun in Atlanta. And the Saints defense comes to the play right away. Sam Mills and Frank Warren with the tackle of Pegram for a loss. And the Saints defensive line, Martin, Wilkes, and Warren, no rushing touchdowns allowed in the last 27 quarters. The linebackers, all 4 players have been to the Pro Bowl multiple times. And in the secondary, Buck and Cook on the corners. The safeties are Atkins and Maxey. That was a loss of 2 for Pegram, 2nd and 12, and Miller remains under center, but he has 4 receivers in the game. Under pressure, Miller sacked back at the 12. Frank Warren has been in on the first 2 plays. Give Warren credit on the sack. And he also had the tackle for a loss to begin the game.
Warren has been a tremendous addition to this team this year. He was off last year, as everybody knows, because of a drug abuse problem, but he's been a big force in the defensive line of the New Orleans Saints as a defensive end and tackle. He gives the defense a big push up the middle.
That was a 5-yard loss, 3rd and 17 for the Falcons. 6 defensive backs in for the Saints, joined by Mincy Flynn and Reggie Jones in the secondary. Miller looking all the way to Haynes, and out maybe to the 24-yard line, but well short of the first. That was Vince Buck's side of the field. 3 downs and out for the Falcons.
You know, we talked about the fact they might start with a running game, which is, I think, a ridiculous way to start, because that's the strength of the defense of the New Orleans Saints, especially when they got you in trouble. I feel they will eventually use the red gun and maybe have a little bit more success, both running and passing from the red gun formation, which means they have 4 wide receivers.
Scott Fulhaig averaging 42 yards a punt. Vince Buck is the returner for New Orleans. Will bounce at the 40, and Buck watches it settle near the 38-yard line. That's a 38-yard punt, and Bobby Hebert and the Saints are ready for action. Bobby's still with that sprained shoulder, but he had his best practice week. He was able to practice throwing the football every day between today and the Vikings game last Sunday. That's the first time all season he's been able to do that.
The other thing he said, Jim, was that it still hurts him every time he comes over the top of the fastball.
There is a flag, Hank, on the field, and it's being marched off against the Falcons.
See, that's a tough way to start against the Saints. I would always kick off against the Saints because you know if you receive, you're going to get it in the end zone. You're going to have to go 80, and that is murder against this great defense of the New Orleans Saints.
Holding on the kicking team, one of the up backs, half the distance to the goal from the previous spot. They'll re-kick, 4th down.
Larry Nemmers is the referee today, and they'll force Atlanta now to punt it again. Fulhaig will stand near the goal line. fractured her wrist and had to go on the IR list. Good snap. Better boot. Backing up, Buck to the 30. Now he'll run with it to the 45. The Saints gained 7 yards after the penalty, after the re-kick. That was a 60-yard punt by Fulhaig, his longest of the season. And Bobby Hebert, a career record of 6-3 quarterbacking the Saints against the Falcons. And his offensive line has been changed around this year. Cooper will start at left tackle today. Chris Port with his second career start at right guard. Finnerty over 100 last week. Craig Hayward has scored 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 games. Martin and Early are the receivers. Hayward straight ahead near midfield. Hard-earned runs on the inside. Hard-earned yardage on the inside. Robert Lyles finally tackled him. Here's the Falcons defensive front. Gann and rookie Mo Gardner and Tim Green, who has had 2 big games in the victories for the Falcons. Lyles in on the tackle on the last play. Tippins, Jesse Tuggle, and Andre Bruce starts today for Darian Connor out with an eye injury. McIyer and Sanders, Case, and Jordan. And Case is not 100%. He has a foot injury. Second down and 5. Hayward gets the ball around Cooper's side to the left. No gain. Rookie Mo Gardner along with Ken Tippins on the tackle.
They like Mo Gardner. He's not very big, but he's extremely fast and very quick. Tony Epps was the guy that occupied that position initially early in the season, but Gardner has really come on strong, and they like him very much.
4th round pick from Illinois. He was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year in 1990. A 2-yard loss on that play. 3rd down and 7 for the Saints with a slot formation to the right. Finnerty is the single back. Hebert unloads. Incomplete. Quinn Early bobbled it for a moment, and once he hit the ground, the ball was knocked loose. Jeff Donaldson was blitzing, Hank.
Yeah, he was right up the middle, and Hebert was able to get a sniff of that blitz and got rid of the ball just in time. But it's incomplete on the play, and that's, again, as we talked about it in the pregame part of it, they love to blitz.
Tommy Barnhart averaging 46 yards a punt, second in the NFC to Minnesota's Harry Newsom. Saints will have to punt from midfield. Both teams 3 downs and out. Deion Sanders is the returner.
Delay a game prior to the snap on the offensive team. 5 yards, still first down.
I tell you, Atlanta really got out of the soup. They got a good break on this thing with a good field position New Orleans had. I'm surprised they didn't take better advantage of it and move the ball down at least close enough, maybe for Morton Anderson. Usually you figure if they get a ball in that area, they're going to wind up at least with 3 points. They got nothing.
Joel Hilgenberg snaps it back to Barnhart. Now Deion is waiting for the return back at his 15. Big booming punt headed for the corner. Oh, a great Saints bounce around the 5-yard line, and it's out of bounds at the 5. That's a 51-yard punt, and the Falcons will start their next series, their second of the game, from their own 5-yard line. Miller had his career effort in a victory here at Fulton County Stadium last year, Hank. He threw for 366 yards. That's the career high, and 3 touchdowns, leading into a 1-point victory over New Orleans.
And I talked to him last night. He didn't know what they were going to do as far as starting the game, but he was hoping they would use the red gun because they feel that's a lot more effective against the Saints than normal formation.
Pegram, the single back, gets the football, trying to to shift direction. That cost him. Vaughn Johnson back at the 2. The Saints defense is playing. You got to look out for a safety. They just keep making tackles for losses.
Yeah, you just can't penetrate the defense. It's been very, very difficult when you play with standard formations, and they might be just as good against abnormal formations, but they're really, really murder against what they're doing right now.
Brought in Keith Jones now into the backfield, and 4 receivers. George Thomas and Mike Pritchard are the extra receivers, joining Risen and Haynes. Second down and 13. Incomplete on the far sideline, intended for Andre Rison. Toy Cook was on the coverage.
Swilling that time, number 56, was blitzing inside. And they're using him to good advantage. He goes outside, he goes inside, he lines up on the left side. You better always know where he is located and make sure that somebody is blocking him all the time.
Hank, the Falcons have just brought in Deion Sanders into the offensive huddle. I'm not sure the Saints caught it.
Well, they talked about doing that possibly when we talked to him the other day. And seeing Sanders loves being a flanker.
He is lining up to the left side. Toy Cook now looking over and somewhat surprised, I'm sure, to see Deion Sanders. 3rd and 13. Out of the shotgun, Miller wanting to air it out straight ahead. Caught by Pritchard, the rookie, first down. 17-yard completion to Mike Pritchard.
That time they had man-for-man coverage. Swilling and Jackson were both blitzing from the outside linebacker positions, but in spite of that, he got the ball off in good shape.
Deion was somewhat of a decoy here, Hank. He took him deep.
Yeah, I think they double covered him, which left the inside receiver open. He makes the catch. The ball was thrown right at the numbers, and it's their first down for the Atlanta Falcons. A big play with 6 defensive backs.
Sanders is out of the game now, back to the sideline. 1st and 10 for Atlanta from its 19. Wide open is Thomas into Saints territory at the 44-yard line. 37-yard pass play.
That time they did a little different wrinkle. The Saints did. They blitzed the outside linebacker, which means most of the time you'll get man-for-man coverage, but they were in a double zone. So that area was very vulnerable, and they didn't get to the quarterback. He had plenty of time to throw the ball.
Vincey Glenn finally drove him out. But it's Atlanta football at the Saints 44. A week ago, Minnesota did not even have an offensive snap on the Saints side of the field. 4-receiver formation for the Falcons. Pegram gets away from the first tackler, fumbles the football, recovered by New Orleans. Gene Atkins. Brett Maxey, the strong safety, stripped Pegram of the football, and Atkins recovered.
Pegram is a very quick, very fast, jitterbug kind of a runner. The ball was not secure. He was carrying it away from his body. It got jarred loose, and a very alert defense. The New Orleans Saints recover the fumble.
Look at Maxey, Hank, strip the ball, and then Atkins recovers. Saints will have the football near their own 45. Jerry Glanville's team, Hank, has turned it over now 14 times on the season. They were 27th. In fact, in the NFL, the second worst in the NFL as far as committing turnovers. Only the Seahawks had more turnovers the first 4 weeks. That's the 14th turnover, Hank, of the year.
Yeah, and that's a killer because you can play hard and play tough and play good. But if you don't play smart, you're in trouble.
Finnerty out of the backfield in motion. Hebert goes down Deep knocked away by McKyer. What a brilliant play by him. The pass was intended for Quinn Early.
Man-for-man coverage. Lyles was blitzing on the play. Good coverage. Very good coverage. We'll see him on a slot on the top side. Going right down the field. Step for step. Excellent coverage. The ball is thrown well, but he's covered extremely well in the play.
2nd and 10. McKyer was jockeying for some time on the offensive side of the field. He said he'd like to play some receiver.
I think they'll let him play, but only in practice.
2nd and 10. Play action fake, and Hebert has the completion to Hayward. Sanders wrestles him down for a 5-yard gain at the 50.
This is going to be a sledgehammer game to a certain degree, I think, Jim, but in the final analysis, the team that makes the big plays is going to win this football game, and especially New Orleans, I think, will have more opportunities to make big plays because the Atlanta Falcons like the blitz so much, which means they have one-for-one coverage.
That was Hayward's 2nd reception of the season. 3rd down and 5. Saints at the 50. Floyd Turner in motion. Movement. They stop the play. It's a dead play. They don't let it run out this year. On an illegal procedure play, it's a dead play right away.
And that's really a good rule because you waste time.
False start prior to the snap. Number 61 offense, still 3rd down.
So I was saying it saves some time, plus the fact that it eliminates the possibility of somebody getting hurt on a dead play.
Jimmy Mora picked up his 50th win last week in the victory over the Vikings. He's taken the Saints to the playoffs twice in his first 5 seasons. 3rd down and 10 for New Orleans. They go to the shotgun. 6 defensive backs in for Atlanta. Forced out of the pocket. Hebert pump fakes and runs for it. He has the first, sliding down at the 39 of Atlanta. His longest run of the season. Bobby Hebert with a 15-yard scamper.
Great judgment on the part of Hebert. They were getting a push on him right in the pocket. He saw a seam and quickly made that decision. And he waits this long enough where the lineman can knock the defensive people beyond the quarterback decisively. He saw the big seam, the big cavity, took advantage of it, and got the 1st down. Bobby Hebert, excellent judgment and a great run by Bobby Hebert.
They'll put the ball in play from the 40 of Atlanta into the I formation. Finnerty gets the fake. Hebert going across the middle over the top of Quinn Early. Again, coverage provided by McKyer. A flag is down in the Saints backfield. And a personal foul penalty against Atlanta.
Tuggle 58 was blitzing on the play.
This will be a 15-yard penalty, Hank.
Well, this is more
personal foul, roughing the passer on the defensive team, automatic 1st down.
This is Morton Anderson territory already.
Hank, check out the late hit on Hebert.
We'll see what it looks like here on the replay. It's really hard to tell. He gets him from the backside, but the official was right there, so obviously he thought it was a late hit.
Took him down, too, on that tender right shoulder of Hebert. Torrey Epps has come in at nose tackle for Atlanta. 1st and 10, Saints from the 25. Ice in motion, setting up now on the right side. And some finger pointing. Falcons may have jumped. Epps just came into the game, lined up right across from Hilgenberg.
I think he got contact on the movement, I think, was what happened, Jim.
Encroachment, number 74 defense, still first down.
Against Epps and Atlanta, they'll move the football to the 20, 1st and 5. Atlanta now with two good young nose tackles, Epps, who was all rookie last year, and Mo Gardner, who got the start today, the rookie from Illinois. Hayward offset to the right. Finnerty looking for his first carry. It's 1st and 5 for New Orleans. Now Finnerty will run it. Breaks the first tackle. And gets 4 tough yards, taken down by Brian Jordan. Got away from Robert Lyles, who made first contact on Gil Finnerty.
It looked like that was the place to go. That was a soft spot of the defense, but they plugged it, got penetration. Finnerty jumped to the outside to his left. But by the time he got where he wanted to go, he got tackled. But he's got very good feet, Finnerty has, and good vision.
At 106 yards against the Vikings, Dalton Hilliard will see some play today. Here's the pitch to Finnerty on 2nd down and 1, and he does not get the first. Andre Bruce makes the tackle for Atlanta. There's a story worth developing, Hank. The number 1 pick in the 1988 draft out of Auburn. He's been a huge disappointment in his 4th season now, getting the start today for Darian Connor.
Well, he's kind of a freelance player. He's very good in space. He loves to blitz. He loves to chase. He loves to tackle. But he doesn't like the responsibility of, is it going to be pass? Is it going to be run? What is it going to be? That creates a problem for Andre Bruce.
He's out of the game on 3rd and 3 for New Orleans. Complete for a first down. Quinn Early. That pass was deflected, Hank, and Early very alertly came up with it still.
Yeah, it looked like it was tipped by the inside linebacker.
And then Mo Gardner got a hand on it.
Yeah, that's who it was, I guess. I knew somebody up the middle, an alert play by Early.
I think the pass was intended for Martin, and it deflected on an angle over to Early.
That's exactly what happened.
What an acquisition Quinn Early has been for the Saints. Plan B free agent out of San Diego. Played for the Chargers last year. First down play, Finnerty. Right side, back head to the 10. Tim Green, one of the players in on the tackle for the Falcons. Saints, in fact, have outscored their opponents in the first quarter, 24-0, and overall in the first half, 57-7.
It's been a long time since I've seen a team dominate other teams like the Saints have done defensively. They have been terrific.
2nd and 8. Brenner shifts to the left side. Hayward out of the backfield in motion.
Got a room on the right side.
Looking right is Hebert. Flings it to the 5, and Finnerty has it short of the first.
That was the place to do business. Bobby Hebert read the defense perfectly and got the ball to the right side where it had to be thrown to have any success on the play. That was against a 3-deep zone where they're protecting areas and not individual people.
Now the 3rd and short yardage situation. They take Hayward out of the game. Hayward heads to the sideline. Slot formation left. Martin is on a wing to the right. Finnerty, the single back. 3rd down and 3.
And they're going to try maybe some kind of a pick play. But they got the 4 wide receivers in trying to get a score.
Quickly thrown. Too low for Early.
Scott Case blitzing on the play. Safety blitz. Got the penetration. Bobby had to throw the ball before he wanted to. Threw it falling away. Pressure coming right up the middle. There you see it, coming right through. And he made him throw the ball before he actually wanted to throw the ball. That was Brian Jordan, number 40. I thought it was Scott Case.
So now Morton Anderson comes in. He has kicked at least one field goal in 11 straight games. And now he's made his last 11 kicks. That's the second longest streak in the league, only behind Claude Reveiz of the Vikings. The Saints strike first. 2 minutes to go in the first. Nothing over Atlanta here with 2:23 to go in the first quarter. Deion Sanders waiting for the return.
This will be another 80-yard shot again, where they have to go 80 probably, the way Morton Anderson kicks the kickoffs.
Scoring drive for the Saints. 10 plays, 50 yards, but it dissolves at the 5. 22-yard field goal by Morton Anderson. He was 7 for 7 in touchbacks, forcing touchbacks last week. 1 for 1 today. This one will be returned. Deion from the 5. Hey, he brings them to their feet. 26-yard run back, and there's another timeout on the field with the Saints up by the early field goal. Hank, the Saints defense has been so outstanding. It's ranked number 1 in the National Football League rushing-wise, rushing defense, and second overall, trailing only the Eagles. Mike Rozier is into the lineup now for Atlanta, 1st and 10 from its 30. They'll take it with Rozier. Good run for 7, maybe 8. Chris Hinton with a lead block. For Mike Rozier, his first carry of the season, he held out for 46 days, did not sign with this team until September the 2nd.
And Glanville told us the other day he's going to be our guy this afternoon. This is his kind of game. He should have been a fighter. He's tough. You hit him in the chin, you can't knock him out. We'll find out how tough he is here this afternoon after not carrying the ball at all so far this year, except on that last play.
He was the top Falcons rusher a year ago. Even though he did not arrive until October, he ended up with almost 700 yards rushing on the 1990 season. That's a run of 7 yards, and the Falcons call a timeout.
Timeout, Atlanta. That's their first team timeout.
So the Falcons will talk it over here in the first. 59,000 on hand. As the Saints lead it in the first quarter, every seat is sold for the 44th meeting between these two teams. Second down and 3 for the Falcons. Setting up a reverse with Rison. And Ricky Jackson takes him for a big loss.
That's a great play by Ricky Jackson. Now they pursue very well, as good as anybody in the league. And but Ricky Jackson smells the play right from the beginning. Look at it. No chance to block him whatsoever. He makes the tackle on Rison. Beautiful play by Ricky Jackson.
That was a 9-yard loss.
That's a good play to run against a young linebacker or a young defensive back who's going who's going to chase. He's too smart. Played it very, very well.
3rd and 12 for Atlanta. Keith Jones is the single back. With protection this time. Now Miller has to run with it. Swings it over to Thomas. Short of the first by about a yard.
Good move on a part of Chris Miller, blitzing on the play with Swilling again.
Hank, I thought he had good protection for a while, and then eventually it's going to break down on you anyway.
Yeah, you got to get rid of the ball quicker than that. He couldn't find anybody open. The coverage was faded. Looked like he was going to get sacked, but he made a good move in the pocket. Was very lucky to get rid of the football like he did.
Toy Cook made a good tackle to make sure that Thomas did not get the first. So here's the punt by Fulhaig. Buck running from the 10. Smashed at the 17 by Tracy Johnson. 49-yard punt, 7-yard return. Saints will start out from inside their own 20. Saints trying to complete a September to remember. Best ever start in the 25-year history of the franchise.
And I'll guarantee you, even if it doesn't happen this afternoon, they'll still remember September. I'll guarantee it.
They have a 2-game lead in the NFC West at the time. Atlanta and San Francisco, 2 games back. The Rams are 3 back of the Saints. Final seconds of the first quarter. Good first down pass play for about 9 yards. Quinn Early with the reception to end the first quarter with the score: New Orleans 3, Atlanta nothing.
Value. Hewlett-Packard LaserJet printers. They'll get you noticed. And by Budweiser, who reminds you friends know when to say when.
Start the second quarter. And Hank, how would you characterize that opening quarter?
It's a little bit like we expected. This is going to be a bad-looking game overall because the way, especially Atlanta plays, you know, you either bite the bullet when you play them or you got to swallow it. One of those two things. And they're going to make you look bad on many occasions, but you got to exercise patience and look for the big play and move the ball and take advantage of it when it comes.
Second down and 1. Finnerty lined up as a receiver at the top of your screen. Dead ball situation. Another delay of game. Second one of the contest against the Saints. Of course, the first one was on a punting situation, and they were wanting to do that. Gave a little more room for their punter, Tommy Barnhart. You look at Jim Mora, who told us he's not a big believer in the kind of rhetoric where you hear players saying, we've turned the corner, you know, we've got to win this game.
Well, he's a steady Eddie kind of a guy. He really is, which is very, very good. He keeps the pace of the team level all the time, and whether they win or lose, he's basically the same.
Second and 6, Finnerty again lined up as a receiver. Hebert's target on this play is Hobie Brenner, the tight end, and he has enough for the first by about a yard, and it's update time. Let's take you due north to New York. Update us, if you please, Greg Gumbel.
All right, Jim, in Buffalo, scoreless game in the first quarter. Jim Kelly down the middle, picked off by Mark Carrier, who returns 43 yards for a touchdown that was called back because of a Bears offside penalty. They've gone to the second quarter scoreless at Rich Stadium. Jim?
So take that one away. First down for the Saints, 2 tight end formation. Brenner and John Tice are the tight ends. Forced out of the pocket and incomplete. Eric Martin got his fingertips on it. There were 2 Saints in the area. Brenner was also in the area.
I think he tried to make an adjustment once he escaped from the pocket. The pass protection overall was excellent on that last play, except that he didn't find anybody open on the man-for-man coverage and had to escape from the pocket and throw the ball on the run. Look at all the time he's got. He waits. Yeah, they're all faded. Looking downfield, everybody is covered, so he very wisely runs to the outside to try to make a play and throws the ball downfield incomplete. But the pass protection was very, very good.
Second down, 10. Setting up the screen for Finnerty. Good block by Port, but then McKyer jars them out of bounds, along with Tippins. Gil Finnerty has the Saints' longest reception of the season, a 50-yarder for a touchdown against Seattle, and he has the Saints' 3 longest rushes of the season. Broke one last week for a 54-yard run inside of the 10 that set up a Saints score. Third down and 5. Back to the shotgun for Bobby Hebert. Look out. incomplete. And Brian Jordan made a diving attempt at the interception, Hank.
Yeah, nickel defense that time. Andre Bruce was blitzing on the play, and Bobby threw that ball falling away. Had nothing on it whatsoever. They were in his face. He tried to throw the ball all arm, which is the only thing he could do, and it was almost intercepted.
Barnhart's first punt set the Falcons back at their own 5. Pressure. Good punt. Sanders from the 16. Fumble. Saints have it. They're going to roll him down. No fumble. Just in case, Benny Thompson took it into the end zone.
You see him slam the ball down.
Who's got the marketing plan?
I do. Well, they ruled that he was down first, and this is not reviewable because he is ruled down by contact on the field. But you take a look.
Yeah, you see, the only possibility, Jim, was left knee might have been down, and that's why they called it like they did. But again, he was down by contact. Doesn't make any difference. They still have possession.
Very close, but again, it's not a reviewable play. Falcons with the ball at their own 25, trailing 3-0. Here's Rozier running around left end, not running very far.
This game summary is sponsored by Bud Light.
Well, the Saints field goal came after a turnover, after Brett Maxey stripped the ball from Eric Pegram. And the Saints with the only scoring thus far. And what has been, Hank, I think you said it as an ugly game at times.
Yeah, that's the way it's going to be. I think any time that you play this kind of a team, it's going to be an ugly game. And you've got to exercise patience, as I mentioned earlier, and just keep sawing wood, making things happen, take what they give you. And when you get a chance for the big play, that's when you got to strike.
Second down and 10. Rozier with no gain on the first play of this series. Miller now looking downfield, incomplete. Michael Haynes couldn't catch up to it. He has great speed.
Double blitz that time, Swilling and Jackson. And they throw the ball against 6 defensive backs. He had a chance, but the ball was thrown far beyond the intended receiver, and falls incomplete. But again, if you're going to throw a ball wrong, throw it long, never short.
Look at left tackle Mike Ken. What a matchup he has today against Pat Swilling. And Vince Buck runs over to the far side, working on Mike Haynes. Third down and 10 for Atlanta. Keith Jones in the backfield. Richard at the 33, taken down right away by Vince Buck. An 8-yard gain, not enough for the first.
Well, that time they were in a 2-deep zone. Swilling again blitzing on the play. A 2-deep zone. Watch Mike Ken, the offensive tackle, number 78 on Swilling. He does a good job with staying with him under control and handles him well on that particular play. Miller was disappointed because the receiver didn't go deep enough to make the first down. It was very aggravating for a quarterback, also a coach.
There's the punt for the Falcons. Fair catch called. Buck makes it at the 35-yard line. That pass protection by Mike Ken on Pat Swilling, about the best we've seen against Swilling this year.
You're right.
Stram, Hank, when we were talking to Bobby Hebert last night, we told him how Jerry Glanville's been quoted all week here about how much Hebert has helped the Saints. Hebert said, I appreciate that support, but he may be setting me up.
And he looked like Bobby Lump yesterday, didn't he, with all those ice packs all over his left knee and also his shoulder.
First and 10, and a running play with Finnerty in traffic, taken out maybe for a 1-yard loss. Jesse Puggle and Jeff Donaldson combine on the tackle. And coming up next, doubleheader action for you today on CBS. The 49ers trying to avoid their third straight road loss. That hasn't happened since 1980. They'll go against the Raiders and a couple of old friends, namely Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig. That's the 49ers and the Raiders coming up next on CBS. Second down and 10. Finnerty for about 2.
Asked Finnerty yesterday what his favorite play was. I was surprised. I thought most of the time backs are talking about how they like to run from the I formation in the deep set. He likes the counter play where the guard and the tackle are pulling. He loves that play. He likes to run that play more than any other play he runs.
Well, he has 5 carries in this one for 6 yards. Unable to break one to this point. Third down and 8. For receiver formation for New Orleans. In traffic, caught for a first down at the Atlanta 48. Maybe the 47, Quinn Early.
You don't realize what a great throw that was. Coverage was excellent, and he just got the ball in the only place where he could throw it. And he does that consistently. He's amazing, Bobby Hebert. There's you see the rush. Look at that. Hand goes up, and look at in the traffic. He's got 3 guys close to the receiver, and in spite of that, he whistled the fastball right in there. And the key was he threw it in low enough. Had that ball been thrown up high above the shoulder pads, it had been tipped or intercepted or incomplete.
Was pinpoint. Absolute. First down running play with Finnerty.
That's his counter play that he likes. A little slow leak on the backside. No gain, not much gain on the play.
Oliver Barnett took him out. Gil Finnerty had his first NFL start last week. Do you think we'll see Dalton Hilliard back now from the ongoing knee problems and the bruised hip that kept him out?
I think they're looking forward to the week off next week. That'll give him 2 weeks to getting better. And as a result, he should be totally healthy as soon as you put him in and he's not 100%.
Second down and 6. Saints leading it 3-0. 22-yard field goal by Anderson. Hayward. Down to the 39. That'll set up 3rd and 2. Kind of interesting, Hank. The 2 backs for the Saints, Hayward and Finnerty. We've asked them on different weeks their favorite football player growing up, and they had the same answer.
Yep.
Both idolized Earl Campbell growing up.
Right, and that's why Hayward wears number 34.
3rd and 2, and Hayward's the single back.
Said they really got to game tackle him because he is tough if he gets any steam up.
He is trying to get the steam up, but Mo Gardner won't let go of him. And Scott Case had him down low.
That's exactly what they said yesterday they had to do to stop Hayward. They have great respect and admiration for Hayward. And they said the only way we can get him down is to make sure that we game tackle.
Saints about, maybe 5 yards out of Morton Anderson's field goal range. So they're going to punt it.
I don't know whether they have a run from punt formation. If they had it, this would be the good time.
4th and 2. Go to the playbook of Bobby Bowden. Boy, what plays he came up with yesterday. Bag full of tricks. This one pretty straightforward, but a bad bounce for the Saints. First touch by Williams at the 16. They're going to back him up, saying the Saints will put the Falcons in play at the 16-yard line when we come back. Second season in Atlanta, and last year, Hank, the Falcons stopped a 6-game win streak the Saints had over the Atlanta franchise. And Jerry Glanville told his team they had to turn it up a notch.
Yes, and of course, you know, he's a macho guy. A lot of guys going into a game like this automatically say you can't run against New Orleans. He says we're going to run and we're going to run, and we got to prove that we're as tough as they are. That's why we're going to run. We're going to run for attitude. We haven't had any success. He said, I don't care if we don't make yardage. We're going to run at him enough to keep him on.
Well, there's Rozier running, and successfully at that. To the 27, it'll be 2nd and 2. The Falcons so far have picked up 2 first downs in the game.
The other interesting thing about it is they've run 5 times and only passed 1 on first down.
You see their possessions, Hank. Punt, fumble, punt, punt. But Glanville said that win against New Orleans last year proved that his team could be as physical as the Saints. They had been beaten in that department before, Hank.
Yeah, that's right. He said in the other years we had no chance. They just physically beat us. Last year we got even with them, and that's the way we want to stay.
Deion Sanders is back in the game as a receiver on 2nd and 2, and Rozier near the first. Ronaldo Turnbull with the tackle may call for a measurement. Sanders comes back out now. That's 2 plays he's been in.
Well, they're trying to get him to draw double coverage and see what they're going to get him. If he gets 1, they'll change the play in the line of scrimmage and give him a shot.
Deion had played the receiver position during the preseason against Tampa Bay. They had 2 catches for a total of 75 yards. And he also had an interception in that preseason game. So a pick and 2 receptions. It's the first time he has seen action in a regular season game at receiver since playing Buffalo back in 1989. So 3rd and inches for the Falcons.
This is where Glanville is going to challenge that offensive line. So we're going to run it at him, and you make the yardage. You open some kind of a seam, some kind of a cavity. We got to make the first down. Let's see what happens.
Need to get something going here just to activate the Atlanta fans. 3rd and inches. Rozier fumbled the ball. It's scooped up by New Orleans. Gene Atkins and over to Buck. But hold on, there's a flag.
Even if they call it back, I guarantee it.
Offside, no score, first down here.
I tell you, this team defensively is alert. They're sharp, even though they call that play back. Great reaction on the part of Maxey and also the left cornerback.
Well, there was little doubt right at the snap that the Saints had jumped and did not get back.
It looked like it was Wilkes.
Well, watch Gene Atkins now. Miller was tackling him. The old lateral play to Vince Buck.
See, that's awareness. That's something that just sometimes you can't teach. It's an awareness situation, and it was a great play, even though it was called back.
Deion back in, Hank. Red gun time on first down.
And now they're going to double cover him again on the outside. Looks like. Now it's man for man.
And Pritchard, he should have had it at the Saints 40.
That time they confused him a little bit. There was a double zone, and Jackson and Swilling were blitzing on the play. So it's a good look because it's deceptive, because the 2 outside linebackers are blitzing on the play, but they're in a zone. Normally, when they're blitzed, it's man for man. He should have made the catch. Should have made the catch. He was right on the shelf, exactly where it had to be thrown.
Yep.
Look at Miller. He is really upset. Can't throw him any better than that.
That was a perfect pass. Downfield, too. 2nd and 10, and Sanders is out of the game. He's been in for 3 plays on offense. Stepping forward, and Andre Rison can't get it. That ball may have been tipped at first by Vaughn Johnson. Then Rison had a shot at it near the 50.
Again, man-for-man coverage. Again, blitzing on the part of Swilling and also Jackson.
And a flag is on the field, Hank.
Illegal hands. Number 41, defense, first down.
So the Falcons pick up another first by penalty. 5:24 to go in the second quarter, and the Saints lead it on a Morton Anderson 22-yard field goal, 3-0 New Orleans. This is the last game, this great rivalry, really. This is a rivalry where people in the states in between Georgia and Louisiana get involved. Last time we'll play here at Fulton County Stadium.
And the better these two teams play, the more they win, the rivalry will even more increase than it is right now.
Down play, and this time Pritchard holds on in Saints territory. That's actually Sean Collins.
6 defensive backs again.
Only his second catch of the season. Former #1 pick. Watch him here, Hank.
It was a prevent defense. Kind of a prevent defense, and here you see him open up in the zone. Right down the seam, he breaks to the outside, and the ball is right there. Linebackers are dropping off on the play, and he has plenty of room to throw between the linebackers and the defensive back.
1st and 10 from the New Orleans 42. And that's just a straight-ahead run by Keith Jones. Hank, a moment ago, we called this a great rivalry. Maybe I should qualify that. Obviously, these two teams have not always distinguished themselves on the playing field, but what I meant by that is the fact that they both travel fans to the opposing team's site for games here. There's often 10,000 New Orleans fans traveling to Atlanta for this game.
Well, I heard there were 90 buses coming from New Orleans to see this game. Isn't that terrific?
They couldn't get all the tickets they wanted because the Atlanta fans sold it out.
I'm sure they got some when they got here. Somehow, some way.
2nd down and 6. Look out, here comes Ricky Jackson, and he hits Miller. Ball is free.
Again, 6 defensive backs, double blitz, Swilling and Jackson, man-for-man coverage.
Oh, Atlanta football. Atlanta recovery.
What a break for Atlanta. It looked to me like they lost the ball. Ricky Jackson from the right side of your screen is really amazing. You know, he's been doing this for such an extended period of time. He dances every dance. He plays every play. He's a 100% guy, a good leader. Doesn't get the credit that he deserves, but he's a terrific football player. Ricky Jackson.
Made a couple of big plays in this half. He read out the reverse earlier. Give credit to Jamie Dukes, alertly coming back for the recovery. So it's 3rd and 15 for Atlanta.
4-man rush.
But a good rush. And an incomplete pass.
You know, the other thing I can't understand, Jim, is that we've seen quarterbacks consistently go back in the pocket and they get murdered. They act like they don't like the quarterback the way they block on that pocket passing situation. It's surprising that they don't move the pocket from side to side to get away from some of that rush.
Well, that's what you called for all last week watching the Vikings against the Saints. They never moved the pocket.
Yeah, it looks like he had long cleats on and got stuck in the turf right behind the quarterback. Couldn't get out of there. That's amazing.
Maybe he did.
Incredible.
Sitting duck, and now Fulhaig has to punt. And this one straight through the end zone, actually landing about 9 yards deep. Saints will bring it out to the 20. An odd first half, only a field goal. Well, the only scoring Morton Anderson field goal of 22 yards. The Saints defense now into its 10th quarter without allowing a touchdown. The Saints defense has allowed only 3 touchdowns all season. There have been 2 more scored by the opponents, but those came on interception returns. First down running play. Finnerty stuffed maybe only a yard gain. Brian Jordan came up to make the play. The Saints now 10 carries for 8 yards.
They put that safety man up near the line of scrimmage. He's like a linebacker, Brian Jordan, and he got the penetration, made the tackle. There was no chance whatsoever for Finda did he make any yardage on the play.
Brian Jordan knows a thing or two of what Deion Sanders is going through. He, too, plays 2 sports. Louisville Redbirds, AAA team of the Cardinals. Batted .290 with them this year. Second down, 9 for New Orleans. That may be a fumble. That ball is recovered by Tippins. Tippins is in for an apparent touchdown. Tippins takes the fumble forced by Jesse Tuggle. Was this a reception to Hobie Brenner?
We see hit Brenner. Yeah, he definitely caught the ball. It was jarred loose. Tippins picks it up and injects it into the end zone for the touchdown. But
John Tice with the apparent catch. That's the key. Did he make the catch?
I think he caught it. I think he caught it, put it away, took a couple of steps, got hit. The ball popped out of there. I don't think there's any question about the fact that it was a fumble. He goes into the end zone for the touchdown. We said it was going to be an ugly game, and that's the kind of a game it's been, but it's only ugly because of the hard hitting, the defense, and the effort, and the determination, the strong will of both teams.
Well, Tuggle scored a touchdown last week against the Raiders. Here he jars the ball free and sets up his colleague at the inside linebacker position, Ken Tippins. What a 6-point judgment this is, huh, Hank?
Yep. And Glanville said going in, I guarantee you, they're not going to be tougher than we are. They're an excellent football team, but we're going to show them we're tough, too. Touchdown.
Touchdown, Atlanta. Norm Johnson for the extra point. No, he missed it. Hank, I had just finished saying how the Saints defense had allowed 3 touchdowns and the offense of the Saints had allowed 2 touchdowns. Now it's 3-3 on the year. And Atlanta takes the lead in this one.
That's balanced.
I'm not sure it's the kind of balance you want, huh?
No, not if I were coaching, I wouldn't like it.
That was some hit put on by Jesse Tuggle. Maybe with Sam Mills, we have the 2 smallest linebackers in pro football here. Mills is definitely the shorter of the 2. Tuggle is shortest of that.
Yeah, he made mention of that yesterday several times. Make sure you understand, I'm short, but I'm not as short as Sam Mills. And they both have tremendous respect and admiration for each other. But look at that again. You'll see Tice coming across shallow, and there's the ball thrown. Watch Tuggle. And he hits him right on the arm, but he made catch, had possession, took a couple of steps. It was jarred loose. Tippins picks it up and goes into the end zone for the touchdown.
Same end zone, same corner of the end zone where the Falcons scored a touchdown last week with Tuggle in a victory over the Raiders. 2:10 to go in the quarter. This will be run back by Gene Atkins. Now next Saturday, the final weekend of the regular season, we're going to have baseball action for you starting at 2:30 Eastern. Now, we can't tell you what game we'll broadcast because we're going to wait and see how the races tighten during the week. We'll bring you the best game available next Saturday here on CBS. And then a week from this Tuesday, the playoffs begin. The battles of October, the American League Championship Series will be first. That's October the 8th. At 8:30 Eastern Time. The Braves picked up a full game yesterday on the Dodgers, and now only a game back. Dion will rejoin them this week during the bye week for the Falcons. Hebert again to the middle, and this time moving out near the 35-yard line is Floyd Turner. And that brings us to the 2-minute warning. 16-yard pass play. Evander Holyfield, who is actually today designated as the special teams captain for Atlanta.
And if you lined them all up on the sideline and said, who is the heavyweight champion of the world, I don't think if you didn't know who he was, you wouldn't pick him.
What, you mean because of his size when you see him in person, pretty close?
Yeah, sure. He's put together so well and so finely tuned that, it's hard to believe that he is the heavyweight champion of the world, all these massive bodies on the sideline.
The shotgun, Hebert releases to Martin at the 40. He keeps his reception streak alive, and he's out to the 50. 62 straight games for Eric Martin with a catch. Maybe Holyfield, the special teams captain, was doing the interview explaining why his team missed the point after.
Could be.
I don't think they'll hold him accountable. First and 10, 1:30 to go. Flag on the field again. Martin at the 40.
That's the one thing, talking to Glanville and their defensive coaches, they said one thing we got to do, we got to double cover and prevent Martin from coming up with big plays on third down. They haven't been able to do that. Hebert is uncanny the way he throws the ball.
Illegal motion, 67, offense, still first down.
Well, that takes away a 10-yard gain. Stops the clock with 1:26 before the half. Saints starting to crank it up here, pump it up, Hank, before the half.
Yeah, they're starting to let the air out, the sand out of the football and get some air in it.
It's hard to throw with that sand in there.
Yeah, it's kind of mushy.
First and 15. Saints have all 3 timeouts to work with. Sticks it inside to Finnerty. A couple of big hits from Oliver Barnett and Brian Jordan. Timeout called by the Saints. Driving, trailing by 3. 4 unbeatens in all remain. The Bears and the Bills, the Redskins, who play tomorrow night against the Eagles, and the New Orleans Saints. Second down and 7. Keeping his feet is Turner. Turner to the 10 and in for a touchdown. Is still down on the field.
Here we see Turner in the slot. Bump and run. Look at that. He gets a good hit by Scott Case, but he bounces off. Case did not wrap his arms around him. It's carried on the backside, but it goes in for the... What a great play. What a great play by Turner. And a terrific pass again by Hebert.
And Anderson will attempt the point after. It's chalked up now as a 47-yard touchdown. Extra point good. 10-6 New Orleans. Floyd Turner caught the game-winning touchdown from 10 yards out in the opener against Seattle with only a minute 11 seconds to go as a fourth down pass play. He was one of the heroes in that opening victory, and now he gets the Saints back in front before the half.
All right, here we go with Turner in the slot. They're in bump and run, which means they're right on top of the receiver, man for man. He makes an inside move, and the ball, look where the ball was thrown. He catches it in full stride. Scott Case, 25, usually a very good tackler, tried to tackle him, but didn't wrap his arms around him. He goes all the way in there for the touchdown. Again, Lyles was blitzing on the play, and so was Tuggle.
You know what really... I'd tell you what surprised me, Hank, about that play is Deion Sanders should have been able to tackle Turner inside of the 10-yard line, but he just rode him for the final 10 yards. I was really surprised. You'll see Sanders now come in with his great speed at the last minute, but and tell me now, as we get now near the 10-yard line, why doesn't Sanders make the tackle in this area?
Well, that's a good question, and I tell you, that's a great demonstration of how poor the tackling is in the National Football League. Really and truly, there's a lot of hitting, a lot of bumping, but they never wrap people up with their arms, and that's the kind of a play you see so much of the time, and that's why he was able to run for the touchdown.
Deion runs it out from 3 yards deep and tackled at the 16. Milton Mack on the special teams tackle for New Orleans. 1 minute, 1 second to go before the half. How about the Detroit Lions, Hank? They are on their way, perhaps, to going to 4-1 on the year.
They're hot, and they're playing well, especially. You have to give Wayne Fontes and his coaching staffs and player an awful lot of credit for that humiliating defeat they had against Washington the first game of the season without Sanders. Now they come back and win 4 in a row. They're really hot.
4-receiver formation, Miller under center. Jones holds on at the 20. And down at the 25. You remember the Falcons burned a timeout in the first quarter. And they've used another one as well, so they only have one to work with. With a 9-yard completion, 36 seconds before the half.
Kenton has really had a tough time blocking Jackson.
And there you have it, Hank. Ricky Jackson with the sack.
Boy, he's getting around Hinton like he wasn't even there. He did the last 2 plays and comes right back and does it again. Ricky Jackson, 6 defensive backs. Here we see him on the right side. Inside.
Well, it was Ricky Jackson against the Rams who was given the game ball on defense after he had a couple of sacks in that game. Last week, Pat Swilling seemed to be in Wade Wilson's face all the time, but in this half, it has been Ricky Jackson.
Yeah, you better block both of those people, and Ricky Jackson really doesn't get nearly the credit that he deserves. There's so much attention directed toward the other linebackers, and justifiably so, but people fail to realize what a great job Ricky Jackson does.
Ricky Jackson is second on the all-time list for sacks by a linebacker. Now, they did not keep this stat until about 1982, Hank, but since that time, LT is the all-time sack man, and Ricky Jackson is the second best among all linebackers.
And the great thing about him is he doesn't get hurt very often. He hasn't missed many games.
3rd and 7. That picks up the first. Maybe that move took it away, however. Now they'll give him forward progress to the 28. Pritchard with the reception. Mills and Cook tackle him with 21 seconds left.
Timeout. That'll be a 40-second timeout.
Now the Saints called the timeout here. Maybe not aware that the Falcons had picked up the first. We'll be right back.
in trying to make an artistic statement.
Stram, and 21 seconds remaining in the second quarter. And some action heating up in this quarter. A fumble return for a touchdown by the Falcons' Tippins. And then a 47-yard touchdown pass to Floyd Turner for the Saints.
Jim Moore is very, very upset. I don't think he thought that they made the first down. They wasted it. They called timeout to give them more opportunity to come off with a couple of more plays.
Loading this one. Ooh. The area of Rison. Brett Maxey on the coverage. Here's a guy who grew up right across the street from the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Big Dallas Cowboys fan. He told us last night, Hank, that he used to cry when the Cowboys lost.
I asked him who his favorite player was growing up. He said that all of the Dallas Cowboys. The whole team was my favorite.
He remembers actually sobbing in that playoff game against Minnesota. Apparently they were going to lose, and then Drew Pearson made the Hail Mary catch to save the game. And then 10. And again, Ricky Jackson. That's 4 sacks for the Saints.
Watch Ricky Jackson again on the right side of the screen. Here he comes by Hinton again. Hinton tries to push him, and he does, right into the quarterback, and he makes the sack. I've never seen Hinton have such a bad day.
Hinton's been to 6 Pro Bowls.
And Jim Morris said the other day, he says of all the guys, they've got a very fine offensive line, but Hinton has been remarkable.
3 first-half sacks by Ricky Jackson. The Falcons defense scoring the only points for Atlanta. University marching band. And now Norm Johnson is ready to start the second half. Kicking to the Saints. And Gene Atkins along with Quinn Early, the return men. Hebert in the first half, 11 of 16, 138 yards, no interceptions, 1 touchdown. Gene Atkins from a yard out. Will set up the Saints at about the 24-yard line. Saints rushing game not effective in the first half. Greg Hayward with 4 attempts for 7 yards. Finnerty 8 carries for 19 yards, as you see the numbers posted by Hebert.
And really, the Saints have only had 13 rushes for 40 yards, average of 3.1.
3 of the 4 Saints sacks that you see performed by Ricky Jackson. Greg Hayward, the single back for New Orleans, coming out throwing out of the locker room and into the hands of Eric Martin. 3 defenders right around him, but a 9-yard gain for New Orleans.
I tell you, it's amazing the way that Hebert throws the ball into tight coverage, and he throws the ball the only place you can throw it, right where it has to be thrown and caught. And another nice play on the part of Bobby Hebert and also Martin.
Second down and 1. Finnerty back into the backfield. Join Hayward.
A good time for a play-action pass, so let's see what they do.
Hayward coming out in motion, looking left, throwing left, and over the hands of Hobie Brenner. Robert Lyles was putting pressure on Hebert. So 3rd and a long yard to go for the Saints.
You know, a lot of times people will question, well, why would that have been a good time for a play-action pass? Because the defense really kind of thinks you're going to run the ball for the first down. You stick it in the belly of the back, and it looks like a run. You pull it back out, and somebody could be open for a big play, but it's very easy most times to get the first down.
2 tight ends in the game. Again, it's 3rd and 1 for the Saints. First minute of the second half. Hayward gets the tough yard and a first down.
Look at the pile move. He hit the pile and moved it straight back. Picks up the necessary yardage for the first down. Good surge by the offensive line. Good running straight ahead. Power running on the part of Hayward.
Now, Craig Hayward had almost identical numbers the last 2 weeks against the Rams and the Vikings. Scored 2 touchdowns in both of those games held at the Superdome. Held in check so far today, but it gets the first down on the last carry, which is what the Saints were after.
I guarantee Atlanta's tickled to death when they see him lead the game. That's all they talked about all week long. We hope that he doesn't play.
And Finnerty with a stutter step move going around the right side and bumped out by McGuire. There's Jesse Tuggle.
He makes a lot of tackles because he's very deep. As a linebacker, he's about 6 yards deep most of the time. There you see him, and he gets a good angle. You see, he gets into the crack and gets in a good position to make the tackle. Had he been in there 3 yards, he'd have been cut off by somebody and wouldn't have had the good angle that he had.
He also makes a lot of tackles because he plays every down, regardless of down and distance. 2nd and 6. To 43. Tuggle again on the tackle, Hank. He led the National Football League last year. Had 201 tackles on the season. Quite an accumulation of tackles, isn't it? 201 for the Hammer.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And, of course, he takes advantage of that middle linebacker position extremely well. And, as I mentioned, he gets a lot of plays because he's deeper than normal.
For the first time now in 2 weeks, Dalton Hilliard is into the game for the Saints.
Dalton is an excellent pass receiver, too, and also a draw runner.
3rd and 3, flanking Hebert out of the shotgun. Dumps it over to Hilliard. Hilliard scooting for the first, and I believe he's going to be just shy. Brian Mitchell, a rookie from BYU, was one of the men to collide with Hilliard.
See, that's a kind of, excuse me, Jim, that's kind of a tough play for a guy that hasn't been playing. You put him in, he's cold, he's not warmed up, and then he has to make a play for the first down. It's kind of a big job for him to have to do, especially because he hasn't been playing.
So, stop shy of the first. 4th and under a yard to go. Barnhart is back in. He's having another good day for the Saints. Spirals this one toward the sideline. Sanders lets it go, and it's out of bounds inside of the 10. Spotted at the 9. There is a flag on the field at the Atlanta 27. The 46-yard punt. That's twice now Barnhart has gone inside of the 10 to that same side of the field. Brilliant punting.
Well, you know, so far he's placed 6 punts inside the 20 and only 1 touchback, not counting what he did today.
And it's going against the Falcons.
We have holding on the receiving team, number 36. The penalty will be half the distance to the goal. First down.
So the Falcons' starting position for this series is even that much more treacherous. Their first possession of the second half. Saints 10, the Falcons 6. 11 minutes to go in the third quarter, and there's the 11th hour at the Ryder Cup, and down to the final match. Hale Irwin against Bernhard Langer. And the United States needs to win that match or have it. If he has the match, the U.S. wins. It ends up 14-all. The Europeans keep the cup. There's the first down play for the Falcons. And Pegram running. He fumbled in the first half, but this time out to about the 8. Chris Miller has to be still dazed by that first half performance of Ricky Jackson, Hank.
Well, you know, the other thing, they've had terrible field position. They average having to go 80 yards on every drive. The Saints, on the other hand, they had to go 70, so that's why this is this kind of a game. It's a lot of real estate to cover to try to make touchdowns when you have to consistently start on the 20-yard line.
2nd and 7, 4 receivers in the game, and Steve Broussard is in now as the running back for Atlanta. His first carry of the day, and he is stripped right away by Sam Mills and Wayne Martin.
Blitz again, Swilling and Jackson. They're so quick getting off the ball that it's hard for that tackle to make contact. Mike Ken on the other side has done a respectable job. He's trying to block Swilling man for man most of the time, while the tackle has some help. Talking to him yesterday, he said, "Nope, I won't have any help. I expect to be able to block him." He's great. Well, I'll block him.
3rd down and 8. 6 defensive backs in for New Orleans. J.C. Johnson is in the backfield for Atlanta. Here's one. Zip. And incomplete. Intended for Andre Rison. It was a bullet pass to Rison. Toy Cook on the coverage. Rison has not caught a pass today, Hank.
Well, they got good coverage on him. They're playing a lot of man for man and blitzing again. I hate to repeat myself all the time, but that's what's happening. The blitz again by Swilling and also Jackson.
Now hunting from the back of the end zone. Bullhaig. And Buck inside of the 50 at the 47, waiting for the return.
This would be a great opportunity for Saints with good field position.
Short punt, Buck from the 45, 40, 35, and take it down at the 34. Already, really, in Morton Anderson range.
That's 3 points from here already without even getting in the huddle.
9:18 to go in the 3rd quarter. 10-6, New Orleans. 10-6, New Orleans. Saints will start from the 34 of Atlanta. 2 tight ends, Brenner and Tice. Come out of the huddle. Tice is on a wing to the left.
1-on-1 on the right side.
And Finnerty for a gain of about 4. Let's again remind you, our lineup on Saturday for baseball will be determined later in the week. We want to take you to the hottest action as we close out the regular season. Things still alive in the American League East, National League West, as you Atlanta fans know. And then a week from Tuesday, the American League Championship Series gets started on CBS. 8:30 Eastern Time, October the 8th. Toronto leading the Jays over the Twins in the 6th. 2nd and 7, pass play. And reception made by Martin for the first. Down at the 18.
3 deep zone that time, meaning that the linebackers were dropping back into coverage, and the backs had a third of the field just playing area instead of playing man for man. And Hebert spotted it quickly and threw in front of the defensive backs. That's a good place to throw it for the first down. I'm surprised that they gave him that much space. Talking about Atlanta.
Slot formation to the right. Hayward is a single back on 1st and 10.
And with the bump and run again on the right side.
Straight ahead run, not very far. Mo Gardner. Tackle for a loss. There's a man, Mo Gardner, who had 54 career tackles for losses at Illinois. He's been on a couple today already.
They got McGuire playing man for man on that right side. I'm surprised they don't try to challenge him and try to come up with a big play.
Hank Gardner's 6'2", 260. Some say he's too small. He's got great quickness. Is it too small, that size, to be the nose tackle?
Those kind of guys are, you know, with our big team in Kansas City, a little guy like that on the nose used to drive us crazy because he had good leverage. He could get underneath the blocks and make big plays.
2nd down and 12. Hebert looks right first and left and runs with it. Butts heads with Wes Pritchett, who was signed this week
Three deep zone again. Here again, you see the three deep backs in the zone defense. Linebackers dropping back. No place to throw the ball. He saw a seam inside and takes advantage of it and tries to get as much out of the play as he possibly can. Yeah, it was a roll-up zone. Corners were up on the line of scrimmage.
3rd down and 9 here, Hank, for the Saints, leading 10-6 midway through the 3rd. Hilliard is in the backfield.
We might see a run. No, they're going to throw it again.
Lobbing it toward the end zone. Touchdown, New Orleans. Again, it's Floyd Turner.
Well, you talk about a touch pass, a beautiful throw. It was right on the fingertips of Turner. What a play. What a play. And again, I mentioned this. You take these kind of throws for granted when you see Hebert throwing the ball like this. Look at this again. Look at good pass protection. That's where it begins. Turner's in the slot. Look at the ball has to be thrown on the outside. No chance in the world for the defensive back to make the play. It's thrown exactly at the precise right spot, and it's a touchdown again for the Saints.
Second touchdown today for Turner. Anderson adds the extra point. Turner caught a 68-yard touchdown at this place last year. Well, as Hank said, regardless of the outcome today, this is a September to remember for the Saints, but they're really going to try to make it special with their 5th victory in 5 games if they can hold on here. Now leading 17-6 after the touchdown pass to Floyd Turner. And the run back Sanders from the 6. Oh, what a tackle. Denny Thompson took his legs away. And hold on a minute. Dion looked a little shaken. He's all right.
All right, here we are. Here's Turner. And here's Evers, the young defensive back who is playing for the injured Bobby Butler. He runs the pattern, man-for-man coverage. Watch what happens on the play. The ball is thrown perfectly. He makes a little move right in here like he's going inside and then goes right by the inside. The ball's thrown outside, exactly where it had to be thrown. A beautiful catch and a great throw by Bobby Hebert. And the other thing is very important, the pass protection of the offensive line was excellent.
Bobby Butler has not played today, or very little he's played, actually, because of a recurring hamstring injury. And here's Broussard with the carry on first down. Ricky Jackson with the tackle. There is a flag on the field. Hank, important to talk about Bobby Butler. We saw him on the sidelines. He likely would have been the guy guarding Turner if he was healthy today.
That's exactly right, and they picked on the right guy. They picked an
Illegal, Jeff. 2 men moving, not set for 1 second on the offensive team. Still first down.
You see Bobby Butler and the way he was being handled by one of the trainers, and he may be going back in there.
He might try to put him back there again, but again, you have to be worried about an injured player. A healthy one usually is better than one that can only go 50 or 60%. You fool yourself sometimes in that kind of a situation, and you shouldn't be influenced by what happened on the last play. It was just a beautiful play, no pass rush whatsoever, and the ball, the execution of play was perfect.
1st and 15 for the Falcons. Broussard pass was too wide because Swilling had the heat on Miller. And let's go around the league now and check in with the update from Greg Gumbel.
All right, Jim, at Buffalo, from the 1-yard line, Carwell Gardner loses the handle. Now, in order for this to count for the Bills, the only man who can recover a fumble in the end zone on 4th down is the man who fumbled it. And watch 35 jump up, make the recovery, and with the point after, the Bills lead the Bears 14-6, Jim.
That was a nice move to jump over one defender and recover your own fumble. 14-6 in that one, 17-6 here. 3rd down and 8 for Atlanta. Looking at the sideline, Haynes has it. And will not, in fact, come close to the first.
Again, that time 3 deep zone. Saints say, go ahead and throw in front of us. We'll make the tackle and then go ahead and punt. That's exactly what happened on the play.
Jim Mora looking across the field at one of his defenders down. And it's Vince Buck. He made the tackle on Haynes. They said Vince was the MVP of an off-season basketball game between the Saints and the Falcons. He put up about 50 points as the Saints beat the Falcons hoop team.
Bobby Butler was talking about that yesterday. He said they stretched the pores a little bit with the Saints in the basketball game, and Butler could have scored. I mean, he could have scored 90 points. He said the way he played. Talking about Rick Butt.
And here's how he was injured.
I'm sorry, I said Rick. It should be Vince Butt. Seen so much of Ricky Jackson this afternoon, and keep saying that Ricky Jackson all the time.
And he appears to be fine, Hank. Jogging now to the Saints sideline.
He must have maybe just knocked the wind out of him.
This forces the Saints now to bring in a different returner on 4th down. Gil Finnerty will come in. Usually it's Buck with the duty. We'll watch to see how he handles it. 5 minutes to go in the third. Saints 17-6. And just a short return. Tuggle was downfield in a hurry. Saints defense still controlling the game, and Hebert has the hot hand. Well, they meet with the Atlanta offense. Also troubled by this Saints defense, as all the other opponents have seen this season.
Yeah, what else is new? Yeah, I don't care. I've talked about it earlier, but I've really never seen a defense that has played as well as the Saints have played in the 5 games that we've seen them so far this year. It's been terrific.
Dalton Hilliard gets the run off left tackle for about 3 yards. Hank, at the top of the broadcast, your points about this game, you said that it's a gambling defense. The Falcons will blitz you. It's feast or famine. They can get beat on some big plays, and that's been the case today.
Yeah, that's the big thing with Bobby Hebert. He's been able to make those big plays, and that's what you have to do in this kind of a game. As we talked about it earlier, it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world artistically, but it doesn't make any difference as long as you change the scoreboard and matriculate the ball into the end zone.
Second down and 7. Lyles was in on Hobie Brenner, who was trying to make the reception across the middle. And we have another game coming your way after this one. Doubleheader weekend on CBS. The San Francisco 49ers against the Los Angeles Raiders. The 49ers have beaten AFC opponents now 12 straight times. So be sure to join our guys Pat Summerall and John Madden for that one after this one. Third down and 7.
And talking to some people from the West Coast the other day, they say, some coaches, they say they're coming on strong. The 49ers are looking very good.
The shotgun set. The pass was behind the target, behind Floyd Turner. One of the few bad passes today for Hebert, so the Saints will punt.
Nickel defense, 3 deep zone that time. And the other thing I mentioned, keep mentioning it, the offensive line of the Saints, they have really done a terrific job. Cooper, Dombrowski, Hilgenberg, Port, Brock. They have done a terrifically outstanding job with pass protection.
4:05 remaining in the third quarter. 17-6 New Orleans. one headed to the sidelines, then bounces to stay in. Sanders running with it. Look out. Out to the 25. That was a nifty run back. 48-yard punt with a 15-yard run back. And let's again embellish this Saints killer defense story, Hank. Points allowed. They've allowed the fewest in the league. They're number one against the rush and second overall in total defense.
They'll be first in both categories if this game continues like it has been.
Vincey Glenn is in the Saints huddle. Extra defensive back, Robert Goff, number 91. Falcons from their 25. Broussard to single back. Play action fake to him. Throwing short. Incomplete. Intended for Mike Christian. Incomplete in the infield.
We take a look at Mike Ken, the left tackle, number 78, in Swilling here. Ken is blocking him man for man. There he is. He got a piece of him, but he slipped by. But he's actually done a pretty good job here this afternoon without any help. Mike Ken, the all-pro tackle, played his collegiate football at the University of Michigan.
See all the Pro Bowl visits for him. He was not allowed a sack today. In fact, was not allowed a sack this season. Going against the likes of Coleman and Derek Thomas. Now Pat Swilling. Here's your running play with Broussard running right into the line of the Saints. Be a third and long situation for Atlanta.
You know, the tough thing is, Jim, Rison, they've only thrown 2 passes to Rison so far in this game.
You remember what Rison told us out at San Diego?
Tell us.
I need the football for us to win. You got to throw it to me.
We mentioned that to Jerry Glanville. He said, yeah, that's right, except you only got 1 football. And a bunch of receivers.
Third down and 8. 4 receivers in. Rison in motion. And I believe a loose football recovered by the Saints. Gene Atkins stripped it.
Swilling blitzing inside that time. And safety blitz from the outside. Atkins.
And Ricky Jackson recovered, Hank.
See, he's watching. He's the cop. He's riding the motorcycle around the area. And finally pounces on the football.
So Atkins today with a forced fumble and a fumble recovery in the first half. And Jackson with 3 sacks and a fumble recovery. Saints at the Atlanta 16 with 2:50 to go in the third quarter. Hilliard in the backfield along with Hayward. Hilliard will run with it. Finding some room somewhere in that seam. Weaving his way for about 5 yards. Andre Bruce on the tackle. 5 sacks today for that group.
You know, this team is very focused. Talking to all the Saints before the game, the ones that we did talk to, they're all focused on the idea that, yes, we won last week, but we forget it. We got to win this week. We're not looking beyond the game that we play this week, and that's the correct approach to take.
Second and 5, Hilliard cutting around, trying to find some room. There's nothing available. He'll lose yardage.
I can understand why he is playing. He hasn't been able to play because of a bad leg. He practiced all week long, but with an open date, you'd wonder whether or not they wouldn't be kind of letting him rest completely until he gets through the open date period, and then he'd be full steam ahead. He gets nicked in a game like this with a score like it is, why he could be out of the lineup for an extended period of time.
Saints all-time touchdown maker is Dalton Hilliard.
He can make some moves. Never slows down to make those moves.
3rd and 7 from the shotgun. Hebert looking left, throwing toward the end zone. Oh, he didn't hold on. Turner trying to bring it in with his left hand. I was about to applaud him for a sensational catch, but he couldn't keep it in possession. That would have been his 3rd score of the day.
Here we get, look at the pass protection. Got plenty of time to throw the ball. Again, look at the people around. There's not much separation on all those catches this afternoon. Very little separation between the defensive back and the receiver, and there was another illustration of it on the last play.
Morton Anderson, 31-yard attempt. And good. Well, that was close. Barely inside the left upright. Some of the Falcons were waving it off. You know what was really the key to Turner not making that catch? William Evers held on to his right hand. He grabbed his right hand as Turner was trying to reel it in.
Well, that's a good way to play fast defense if you're not cut. Evidently, they didn't see the play.
That was after the football had first arrived. So he took the hands away, or the one hand away, I should say.
I talked to Morton before the game about the grass. Here we did get another shot of this. Look at the protection. Look at all the time. He steps, he follows through, and gets the ball right.
Watch his right hand, Hank. It's grabbed. See here?
Oh, yeah, right there. Yeah, he does grab it. Sure does.
It's a good play by Evers.
Yeah, especially a guy just comes in off the street, had a cup of coffee, and then plays.
Score is 20-6 New Orleans.
And the Saints again dominating the game completely. Just totally controlling every phase of the game.
We see the final minute of the 3rd quarter. Jim Nance and Hank Stram. The Saints have scored 10 points in this quarter and have now run off 17 unanswered. Atlanta had taken the lead when its defense scored a touchdown on a fumble recovery. Detroit chopping up Tampa Bay, Hank. And Dallas leads over the New York Giants. Sanders from the 1. Tackled at the 27. Brett Maxey made the tackle on the special teams. Here are the teams with the perfect records, Hank, starting the week. It looks like, Buffalo has the big lead right now on Chicago, so the Bears could fall out. Redskins-Eagles tomorrow night. We'll look forward to that one on CBS Radio.
Yes, I talked to some people in New York the other day, and they indicated they felt that the best team in the league at this particular time overall, offense, defense, everything, was the Washington Redskins. It'd be interesting to see what they do against Philadelphia. Richie Kotite and his coaching staff have done a remarkable job there.
Keith Jones flanking Miller now out of the shotgun. And flags fall. It'll go against the Falcons.
False start prior to the snap. Number 75 offense. Still first down.
Chris Hinton getting maybe a little jumpy, trying to get the quick start on Ricky Jackson.
Well, you can't blame him.
Really?
Needs a lasso over there.
Back him up to the 22, 1st and 15. Great protection this time. Airing it out for Haynes. Almost had it at the 20, but Vince Buck, who was shaken up earlier, comes back in with a super defensive effort that time.
We talked about this some last week, but I'll mention it again. The defensive line and linebackers have been outstanding for the Saints, and in the past, their Achilles heel has been their pass defense. The pass defense of the New Orleans Saints probably is the best that it's been since Mora and Jim Finks have come into the program, and it's very obvious that they make a significant difference as far as the passing game is concerned.
Second down and 15. And even 1 minute remaining in the third quarter. Now, a little shuffle pass inside. Did not fool the Saints. Sam Mills stays right with Tracy Johnson. And there is a flag down in the New Orleans defensive secondary area. Sam Mills, Hank. Let's get the call here first.
Ineligible player downfield, number 79. Penalty refused, third down.
You saw Sam Mills wave it off. Bill Fralick was downfield, not supposed to have been on that play. Third and 15.
You know, you play against New Orleans, and if I were on offense, I keep counting how many people they had on defense. They look like they're playing with about 12 or 13 people.
Intended for Rison. And there were three Saints in the area, probably would have prevented Rison from even coming close to the first if he had even made the catch.
Yeah, 6 defensive backs against Willing and Jackson, man-for-man coverage, blitzing on the play again. Sounds like a broken record, but that's what they're doing.
Those aren't Andre's usual numbers, believe me.
Yeah, he's got to be very, very upset. The only thing that really matters is he ought to be upset the way they're playing and the way they're getting beat.
Vince Buck back to return. Finnerty had stepped in for him one time, and he has smashed at the 36. Keith Jones on the tackle for Atlanta. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and the CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Atlanta Falcons, and the National Football League is prohibited. Hank, you were about to say a few minutes before about the Saints playing for the first time this year on grass.
Well, it doesn't seem to make any difference. Yeah, a lot of times people who play on synthetic turf, fuzzy cement, so to speak, you know, they don't like playing on. They like playing on grass, but they don't play nearly as well, and it's not as much of a high-speed collision game as it is on synthetic turf.
Play action fake to Hayward. Hebert had some heat on him, so he dumps it off short. Minimal gain to John Tice. Give him one. Andre Bruce made the play on that side. We've called Andre's name and number a few times, Hank. What about his performance so far?
Well, you really can't tell much. He's been in some plays. He's been aggressive, I think, when he's had the blitz and got some good pressure. And also was able to make some tackles from the backside. Overall, I think he's doing fine.
1 quarter to go. The Falcons will need 2 touchdowns to tie it. The Saints lead it 20-6, and our coverage will continue. After this message from your local station, you're watching the NFL on CBS.
This is CBS.
We're not just here, we belong. You're at home with us.
Since 1922, Pelican Homestead has served the people of Louisiana with innovative savings, lending, and checking services. Service is just one of the strengths of Pelican Homestead.
Pelican Homestead, you're at home with us.
If you're like my friend Roy here, you find the rules to most games to be, well, confusing. Which is why we at the Louisiana Lottery are pleased to introduce the new Match 3 game. Match 3 is simple. There are no complex rules to follow. In fact, to play, all you have to do is, and match. Simple. No offense.
Win up to $10,000 with the new Match 3 lottery game. The New Orleans Saints are 25 years old. And to celebrate, Benson Nissan has all new Nissans in the showroom discounted $2,500 from manufacturer's list price. $2,500 off new Nissans now at Benson Nissan, Veterans at I-10.
Vision Plaza knows that thick is out and thin is in with Lightweights, the polycarbonate lenses from Vision Plaza. We'll update your eyewear by paying for your eye exam and give you 20% off any pair of frames in stock when you buy Lightweights. Thinner and lighter than plastic, yet stronger, safer. Get your eye exam and 20% off frames when you buy the thinnest, lightest, safest lens available. Lightweight from Vision Plus.
Someone is always waiting for you at the Vision Plaza.
A New Orleanian remembers the mission of the Shark tonight.
Hebert on second down at the 46. Brought it in with one hand.
Taking himself out of the game. Something happened after he got tackled. Can't tell what it was.
Well, the Ryder Cup has come down to the final match. Hale Irwin carrying the banner for the U.S. If he ends up tied after 18 with Bernhard Langer, then the U.S. will win the cup 14.5 to 13.5. So it all comes down to the last hole. If Longer wins the 18th, the Europeans win the cup with a tie. There's a first down for Greg Hayward. He picked it up on 3rd and 1. Let's get an update now from Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Jim, in Dallas, Jeff Hostetler's been under the gun in New York. Watch him, 19 yards to Stephen Baker in the end zone. That puts the Giants on top with the extra point, 16-14 New York. Jim?
Here it's 20-6 New Orleans. Having just started the fourth quarter. Craig Hayward picking up again the short yardage first down. Gil Finnerty has come into the backfield for the Saints. Play action fake for Finnerty. Coming in on Hebert, just throwing it out of bounds. They're going to call it grounding, intentional grounding. Tim Green was coming in on Hebert, and he unloaded it. No one was in the area.
And that's always a judgment call.
Intentional grounding. Number 3, offense.
On the part of the referee. So he escapes from the pocket, rolling to his right. And they ruled that it was intentionally grounding the ball because there was nobody around the receiver. And there wasn't a receiver downfield, so it was very obvious it was intentional grounding.
The loss of down also on the penalty. When you go back to the end of last season, the Saints have won 6 straight regular season games. Of course, the Bears knocked them out of the playoffs, but they've won 6 straight, going for 7.
We asked Jerry Glanville, what do you think the difference is in this team over last year's team? He said, they've improved, but the one guy that's made the dramatic difference is Bobby Hebert. And I think he's right.
Yeah. The U.S. has won the Ryder Cup. Hale Irwin halved his match with Bernhard Langer, and the U.S. takes the cup. It's been a long time. 83.
It was fun to watch some of that last night, wasn't it?
I'm telling you. You're getting your game in shape. You could be playing when they meet again in 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised to see you wearing the Stars and Stripes.
No, I got the oyster arms. Arms are too short.
I wasn't talking about picking up a check. 3rd down and 21. Dumping it short to Hilliard. And scooting to the 49. But the Saints will have to punt. Somehow the Falcons have to generate some offense. Move the chains a few times. find something that works.
They got to make something happen with their defense and their specialty teams to shorten and reduce the size of the field. They haven't been able to do anything offensively. They've got to make it that way if they hope to get back into this game. Jerry Glanville's got to be frustrated on the sideline. We just got to look at him. Unusual coach in the league. He calls every play offensively, defensively, and a specialty team. What a responsibility that is.
Barnhart driving the kick inside of the 10. Sanders runs it back from the 7. And near the 20. Near the 20. 44-yard punt, 13-yard run back. Benny Thompson with the tackle for the Saints. The Falcons must charge if they want to come back.
Scheme Summary is sponsored by McDonald's.
Well, the Saints have held Atlanta to only 109 yards. Ricky Jackson has 3 sacks and a fumble recovery. And Floyd Turner has scored 2 touchdowns for New Orleans. The Falcons have not even picked up a first down in the second half. They have 6 first downs for the game, a staggering number when you really think about it. Just 6 first downs. That's what the Rams had and the Vikings against the Saints. Only 6.
They've got to be shocked by what's happened here this afternoon because they came into the game with the idea and expectation and hope that they naturally would, they would win the game. They had no idea they would be dominated like they have been.
You see the red gun the rest of the way, you have to think. And here's the pass to Thomas out of the red gun for 6. Vincey Glenn put the stick on him. Second down and 4. All the way across the field and incomplete. Risen was the closest man to that pass.
And Ricky Jackson was even closer. Here we see some help with Hoover trying to help on Swilling. Swilling goes, of course, on the inside. They're using zone blocking, and Hoover throws him down, holds him really, and throws him down to the turf.
Pat Swilling played his college football here in Atlanta at Georgia Tech.
And he said, I'm very inspired when I play here because I want to make sure they understand they made a mistake by not taking me when I got out of college.
Want to make them pay for it. 3rd and 4. There's a first down. Mike Pritchard out of bounds near the 50. Gain of 24 yards to Mike Pritchard, who has caught more passes than any rookie in the National Football League. Has 19 now on the season.
Watch Hinton, 75 holding, Swilling. There he is. He got his jersey. Finally jerked loose. Swilling on a stunt going to the inside. Swilling, incidentally, his wife is expecting her first child in December.
Right at midfield, Atlanta swings it over to Keith Jones. He is pile-driven at the 48 of Atlanta by is that Atkins? Atkins on the play. The Braves are leading in the afternoon. The Dodgers will not play until this evening. The Braves can trim it to a half game with a victory. 2nd and 12 pass play. Troy Cook knocks it away. Intended for Andre Rison.
You know, it's amazing how every time they throw a ball, how close the defensive back is to the receiver. As I mentioned earlier, there's no separation whatsoever, which is a great compliment to the defensive backs on coverage.
Hank, you said at the start that Jerry Glanville said we'll run the ball for attitude, but we'll have to throw the ball to win. Did they establish any kind of attitude at all with the running league?
No, I don't think they did. They tried to and never got it established, and I think that, you know, when you sell that to your team and you don't get it accomplished, it's got to be harmful.
3rd and 12, and going all the way downfield, almost intercepted. Brett Maxey was one of the defenders back. Double coverage for the Saints. Vincey Glenn also. The pass intended for Michael Haynes.
That was a deep zone that time. 3-deep zone. And, of course, Swilling is blitzing again. It doesn't change any coverage because it's only a four-man rush with Swilling rushing. Look at the coverage down the field. The ball's up in the air. And anytime you throw the ball that far down the field, a defensive back can cover about 20 yards to make a play on the ball.
Woolhaig. A full effort on that one. It went too far. Into the end zone, give him 52 yards for the statistics, but bring the Saints out to the 20 with a 2-touchdown lead.
No other car in the world. United States Postal Service. We deliver for you. And by Miller Lite. It's it. And that's that.
Seconds remaining in the game. John Tice sprained an ankle in the game. In fact, on the catch here in this quarter, and is not expected to return to the lineup. First down for New Orleans out of the eye. Here's a running play with Finnerty, and he goes for about 3, running into Tim McKyer. How many guys, Hank, do you know who made it to the National Football League by way of the Association of Italian American Football, the Italian Pro League? Not many guys, huh?
No, I had some Polish guys do that with a team in Warsaw, but none from Italy.
Well, Finnerty played in Italy for the Bolzano Jets. Into the CFL, and now in his second season with New Orleans. Had a 100-yard effort last week. Second down and 8. On it for Hobie Brenner.
There again, escaping under control from the pocket and putting it right up there. A nice touch on the pass. Should have been caught. Hebert is playing with so much poise. Stands in the pocket. He's always aware. Now he rolls out to his right. Pumps like he's going to throw the ball, and then watch the way he just pops it over the top. Pops it over the top to Brenner, but it falls incomplete. Ball he should have caught.
3rd and 8. Shotgun formation. Hilliard, the single setback. Incomplete. Intended for Martin. Oh, a late flag comes in from way downfield. Likely to be interference against the Falcons. That was really late.
6 defensive backs.
Well, he signals defensive holding. Brian Mitchell, number 36, was on the coverage.
Defensive holding, number 36, 5 yards, automatic first down.
Chance for the Saints to use a couple of more minutes on the clock.
Gets him in the back, grabs the jersey, very obvious.
Yeah, he even made the first signal for it. Well, the Cowboys come back to beat the Giants, and now Dallas is 3-2 on the year. Giants are under 500, 2-3. First down running play. Hayward. Thought I heard a whistle, Hank, right at the start of that play. But no flag. No flag on the field. Maybe a whistle from the stands. 4 yards for Hayward.
I think it was a whistle in the stands.
Well, timeout called. A timeout called by the Atlanta Falcons. Jones, the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, Hank.
He's got to be frustrated. You know, interesting thing about coaching today is that you talk to coordinators and talk to coaches, and you ask about the game plan, and they really don't have any definitive information. I don't mean this in a negative way, but they just say we don't know what we're going to get with situation substitution. We don't know how. We won't know until the game starts. Is what really we're going to do as far as the constant approach for the game is concerned.
2nd and 5 for the Saints, leading 20-6. Hayward off right tackle, running behind Stan Brock. Scott Case and Mo Gardner combine on the hit. We have baseball for you next Saturday at 2:30 Eastern Time. And I'll remind you again that we'll bring you the game that's the hottest as we embark on the final weekend of the regular season. So we don't want to pick any games at this point. Let's see how the games are settled here in the next couple of days. But be sure to join us next Saturday, final weekend of the regular season. And then the playoffs start on Tuesday, October the 8th, 8:30 Eastern Time, the Battles of October. Braves are down a game to the Dodgers, but they're winning in the afternoon against Houston. Now, L.A. does not play until later tonight, so they can slice the lead to a half game. We'll get Deion Sanders back after today, bye week for the Braves. Of course, you're familiar by now that Deion came in this week and stole a base right here at Fulton County Stadium, the first guy ever to steal a pass, an interception against the Raiders, and steal a base in the same week.
I was amazed how all the players were excited for Deion. Thinks it's a great opportunity for him. They're happy that he's going to be able to do that. I was surprised at that.
Well, they're all big Braves fans. Guys like Jamie Dukes, they love it. They think they're all behind it. They go home, watch the Braves. They get a kick out of Deion being able to pull off both. 3rd down and 1. And by the way, the Falcons burned another timeout, so they have 1 remaining. 3rd and 1, and nice cut by Hilliard to pick the first. And look at him go! Dalton Hilliard all the way for the touchdown. The longest run of his 6-year career, Dalton Hilliard. And with that dash for a touchdown, he moves from 4th to 2nd on the Saints' all-time rushing list. He just said bye-bye to Chuck Muncie and Reuben Mays with that run for a touchdown, covering 65 yards.
And it didn't look like there was anything wrong with his knee on that run. He was fantastic, made an inside move, jumped to the outside, went down the sideline. It was the bye-bye blues. It was all over. And I can't commend the offensive line any more than I have without saying that Richard Cooper, Dombrowski, Hildenberg, Port, Brott, the tight ends, they have really done a magnificent job of blocking here. Watch the blocking on the play. Going to our left. He makes an inside move. Look at the block downfield. You can't tell who it is, but he goes right down the sideline. No way in the world anybody's going to catch him. And he goes all the way for the touchdown. Buford Jordan, it looked like he got a good block. Number 23, here he is. You see him coming out. He goes to the inside. He's still trying to block somebody inside, which he did. Just enough of a crease for Dalton Hilliard to go all the way for the touchdown.
"65 yards, a career long for Hilliard. And he's back. He is back all the way.
I was concerned earlier about the fact that he might get nicked in this game. But it sure didn't look like he had any problems whatsoever.
Only George Rogers has rushed for more yards in a Saints uniform than Dalton Hilliard now. 4th to 2nd, all on one run. Bouncing at the goal line. Sanders at the 5. Thinks about it, and then wisely downs it to bring it out to the 20. 8:28 to go in this game. And it least half the crowd has already headed home as the Saints are about to head into the bye week with a perfect 5-0 season. On the back end now of the off week, the Saints play at Philadelphia and then home to Tampa Bay and Chicago. George Thomas has separated a shoulder. We received word from the Falcons bench. But we won't see any more of Thomas today. Intended for Sean Collins. Hank, take us through the Saints schedule. What do you think will happen now after the back end of the bye?
Well, you know, the way they're playing and the way they're going to get physically well and mended if they have any big problems, why, by the time they play at Philadelphia, why, they ought to be in great shape physically. It's amazing that you can play this many games, really, and be in as good physical condition as the Saints are going to be at that particular time. Philadelphia is a good football team. It'll be interesting to see how good they really are after the Washington game. Then, of course, they play Tampa, and Tampa hasn't won a game, so their schedule looks good for them.
Second down and 10 for the Falcons. And look at Miller take off. He has first down yardage. In fact, picks up 20. 20-yard run for Miller matches his longest dash of the season. Yeah, there is a negative part to having the off week now for sure, too, Hank. You got all the momentum going.
Yeah, but I think whenever the open date comes, regardless what your record is, what your situation is, you have to talk about that as being a positive thing. It can't be negative. It's got to be positive, and that's what you have to stud your team on. And, of course, I don't think that's going to be any trouble.
8 minutes remaining. Miller firing to the 50, and Andre Rison has his first reception of the game. Well, let's talk about the Falcons. They'll dip to 2-3 on the season, and they'll play San Francisco. Well, that game could be switched, by the way, if the Braves get into the playoffs. They may have to move that out to San Francisco and change dates with them.
I think they got a chance. They got a chance to win two out of the 3 games of that remaining schedule that we just saw.
Oh, a late flag comes in as Pat Swilling actually had a chance for the interception.
This really has to be a demoralizing game for the Atlanta Falcons because they
illegal touching of a pass, number 78. The penalty is just loss of down. It'll be third down.
They're trying to shuffle pass to Keith Jones, and it inadvertently hit an offensive lineman.
As I was saying, Jim, you know, the Atlanta team really and truly believed very strongly that they were going to win this game this afternoon. And the way this thing is turning out, why, they got to be discouraged about that.
George Thomas was on the bench for Atlanta. He has the separated shoulder. Third down and 1. Flag incomplete at the 30, intended for Pritchard. Looks like holding against Atlanta. The deepest penetration of the game for the Falcons has been the Saints' 37-yard line. That's all. Only to the Saints' 37. When you add it up for 3 weeks, no one has penetrated the Saints' 23-yard line.
That's really amazing when you think about the National Football League and the competition, as keen as it is to dominate as strongly as the New Orleans Saints have in these first 5 games of the season.
Holding against the Falcons, and they'll replay the down, 3rd and 11 with 7 minutes 20 seconds remaining. That pass deflected at the line of scrimmage. Frank Warren got a paw on it, and the Falcons bring out the specialty teams. They will not even go for it with 4th and 11, down 21.
Frank Warren has been, I mentioned it earlier, but he's really been a big addition to this football team after being out last year.
Here's the 9th punt of the day for Scott Fulhay. And it's not a good one. Might get a good bounce. Well, right into the hands of Buck. And tackled at the 28. Actually, with the roll and everything, there was a 43-yard punt for Fulhay and an 11-yard run back for Buck. And again, we have a doubleheader game on your menu today. Next, it'll be San Francisco against the Raiders. Also be taking on their old friends Roger Craig and Ronnie Lott, now in Los Angeles Raider uniforms. Jay Schrader will be firing the guys like Fernandez, and you'll be seeing that next on CBS. That's the Raiders and the Niners coming up next. First down for the Saints. Buford Jordan out of the backfield in motion. There's a running play with Finnerty. Same kind of play Hilliard scored on their last play, and Finnerty fights to get back to the line of scrimmage and maybe pick up a couple of yards. 2 yards for Finnerty. Rick Bryan made the tackle. You see him, big number 77. His first ever NFL tackle was a sack for a safety of the Saints quarterback, Richard Todd. It was 8 years ago. That was his first tackle in the league.
He's had some knee problems and some other things happened to him along the way, but he's still playing very hard.
Former number 1 pick from Oklahoma. Second down and 8 for the Saints. Finnerty finds the gap, and he runs for the first to the 40. Tim Green and Robert Lyles have a hold of him.
Dombrowski that time, number 72, the left guard. An excellent block. He retreated a little bit like he was going to be a pass. The defensive tackle went to the outside. There was a big hole inside, and Finnerty popped right through there for a big gain on the play. Watch the left guard. Dombrowski, number 72. There he is. Gets a good block on Green. Takes him to the outside. Provides good running room for Finnerty on the play.
Brian Jordan is down on the field. Jordan led all National Football League defensive backs in tackles a year ago. He comes up a lot, Hank. You pointed it out today. Be very active.
Yeah, he's tough. And as good as they come, really, at the strong safety position, the way the Atlanta Falcons play him. A lot of times he's like a linebacker playing safety.
You know, now George Thomas is out with a shoulder separation. Brian Jordan is being helped off the field. John Tice sprained an ankle for the Saints. Vince Buck was shaken up for a while, but he has returned. Jeff Donaldson will replace Brian Jordan in the Atlanta secondary. Bobby Butler re-aggravated his injury in the early going of this game.
And Jim Mora was bragging yesterday about this Atlanta Falcon team as far as the way they play. He said they play as hard as anybody we ever played during the course of the season.
First and 10 for the Saints. Finnerty around the right side. Cutting back to the inside to get about 7. And we now receive word from the New Orleans bench that Craig Hayward has injured a hamstring. A strained hamstring for Craig Hayward, and he is not expected to return today.
They have legs that big. It takes a long time for that kind of an injury to heal.
They'll have the extra week off, Hank.
Well, that'll help him.
Yep.
But heavy muscle guys like Hayward, a lot of times have a hard time. It lingers for a long period.
10 rushes for 22 yards for Craig Hayward. Not the kind of numbers he's compiled in recent weeks. Picked up several first downs on short yardage situations today.
He hasn't run the ball very much, and I think he's the kind of a back that has to run the ball a lot to be efficient and effective.
Jerry Glanville believes his Atlanta team, and he told us this in San Diego, Hank, will be a championship team sometime this year. I don't know when it's going to happen. I suspect he felt it was starting to come together since we saw him last out at San Diego, but certainly not playing up to a playoff level team today.
No, and it's hard to tell whether that's because of the way they played, or you have to give credit to the New Orleans Saints for dominating the game like they have. That's really been the problem.
2nd and 3, the dust flying everywhere as Buford Jordan carries into the line and is just short of the first, I believe. A little dirt on the uniforms, Hank. We can stand Brock.
Listen, if those linemen aren't dirty, you're in trouble. Because they're not spending much time on the ground and knocking people off the line of scrimmage. You show me a guy in a clean shirt and a clean costume in a game like this one, why, you're not winning the game, I guarantee you that.
You put them indoors and you don't notice it. You can't notice it. But I think these guys like to come outside, get in that infield, and get that uniform with a little dirt on it.
Well, they especially love to play in the mud.
3rd and a yard, and Jordan has enough for the first. 4:18 remaining in the game. Buffalo 3-touchdown advantage over Chicago, and Detroit all over Tampa Bay. The Cowboys have already won today. Hostetler threw an interception with a minute to go in the end zone, in the Cowboys' end zone, as they were trying to come back for victory.
Surprise team is Detroit. They're really gaining a lot of momentum.
1st and 10 for the Saints. Going for the football, trying to strip it away from him, much like we saw Steve McMichael on Blair Thomas Monday night, but to no avail. 7 yards for Finnerty. 15 carries, 53 yards for Gil Finnerty. Brian,
watch Jordan in motion here, Buford Jordan. Good on special teams. Look at the good block he gets on the safety from the inside out, providing just enough room for Finnerty to pop through the hole and make yardage on the play.
2nd and 3, under 3 minutes to go. Saints lead at 27-6. Finnerty nowhere to go this time. Oliver Barnett with a tackle for the Falcons. Well, the Blue Jays have knocked off the Twins. The Red Sox lead over Milwaukee. So at this moment, it's a 4-game lead for the Blue Jays. Saints will not even have to run another play before the 2-minute warning. They will let the clock run down.
Well, this could be a good way for the Saints to enjoy the open date.
Hey, there'll be some continuing celebrations in New Orleans. Tonight on CBS, trying Juanita Maxwell for murder would be easy if she were only one person. What do they mean, only one person? Well, tune in tonight to find out on 60 Minutes. That's followed by Murder, She Wrote, and in the CBS Sunday night movie, Mission of the Shark, an incredible true story of a battle of survival by 880 sailors in shark-infested waters. That's all tonight on CBS. 3rd down and 2 for New Orleans, leading 27-6. 2 minutes remaining in the game. Hilliard will not get the first. He's a yard shy.
Jim, want to mention Maurice Spencer, who has been up here to booth with us, lives in Atlanta. Did a terrific job of helping us with all the identifications here this afternoon. It's great to see him, and he was really a terrific back, defensive back for us at New Orleans.
Fourth down and a yard to go. And the Saints just letting the clock run. 1:20 to go. Atlanta cannot stop it. Nor do I believe they want to. Bobby Morse, with only his second carry of the season, he is stacked for no gain. So Dion about to change uniforms. He'll be putting on a Braves uniform as his bizarre odyssey continues.
Interesting story about players who played both sports. Talking about Bo Jackson when he playing for the Raiders. I asked Al Davis about that. I said, gee, wouldn't you rather have him play football than fool around with both sports? He said, no. I'm happy he has the opportunity to play both of them. I encourage it. I think it's good for the league. I think it's good for him. It's good for us. But a surprising analogy there, and unusual reaction by Al Davis about Bo Jackson playing both sports. Now we have the same situation with Sanders.
At the same time, that's where the real twist is.
That's right.
And the penalty, an illegal procedure penalty against the defense, gives the Saints the opportunity to run it out on their own. The final numbers posted will show Atlanta held to 8 first downs, 162 total yards. Bobby Hebert with 2 touchdown passes to Floyd Turner and Dalton Hilliard for a little spice with a 65-yard run for a touchdown, as the Saints end up with 24 unanswered points. They trailed 6-3 midway through the second quarter after a fumble recovery and a run back by Tippins of Atlanta for a touchdown.
And you have to give Jim Moore and his coaching staff an awful lot of credit for the way they prepared this football team they have all year long. Provide them with the opportunity to be 5-0.
Will be the last play of the game. At last, this game is official, and the Saints are 5-0. Unbeaten in September. The Falcons fall to 2-3. So for Hank Stram, this is Jim Nance saying so long from Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where the final score is New Orleans 27, Atlanta 6. You've been watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.